Hello and welcome. Tonight, under the hazy glow of London's street lamps, a quiet guerrilla war plays out above your head, on poles and gantries and junctions at borough boundaries. An escalating war over cameras, cars and unlawful control rages. The rapidly growing resistance to this despotic tyranny call themselves the Blade Runners, and they've turned the city's ULEZ zones into a debris-strewn battleground. Before we step into these troubled shadows, let's set the scene. ULEZ ultra-low emission zones were ostensibly designed to reduce air pollution by charging higher emission vehicles that enter arbitrarily designated zones. It soon became clear that this unwelcome intrusion was just another disingenuous ruse to further the subversion of 2030. First launched in central London and expanded significantly in 2023 to cover all London boroughs. Motorists driving non-compliant vehicles face unlawfully issued automated fines triggered by cameras that read number plates and check them against made-up rules. Supporters fallaciously claim this grubby extortion saves lives, yet always with the saving lives mantra. By improving air quality, they miraculously reduce hospital admissions and nudge what they preposterously claim is a necessary shift to cleaner transport. This offensive propaganda is easily disproven through objective investigation. In fact, it's a regressive tax sadistically targeting lower income households and small businesses hardest, especially during a cost of living crunch. Somewhere inside that tension, a new kind of resistance took shape and quickly gathered support. The Blade Runners are an energetic collective of freedom fighters, activists, residents, and anonymous night operators who've taken direct action against globalism's intensely despised ULEZ networks. Since the 2023 expansion, they've targeted enforcement cameras with a grab bag of sabotage techniques, fast-acting angle grinders, cutting wires, obscuring lenses, and in many cases demolishing the units entirely. They work mostly after dark. The aim is simple and radical: blind the increasingly rapacious beast of a globalist system usurping universal control. In a few boroughs, local observers described near blackouts where swathes of cameras went offline in rapid succession. Authorities desperately repair, replace and reinforce, only to find fresh damage days or as little as hours later. This community self-defence is denounced as vandalism, while conveniently ignoring their own infinitely worse genocidal vandalism of the COVID scam. We should be clear, vandalism is rightfully illegal, but defending against the proliferation of energy weapons, excessive surveillance and criminal extortion does not fit this category. In a situation where policy meets pushback, it's the phenomenon that matters, and it's reshaping the debate over how cities enforce deeply unpopular objectives under the transparently greenwashed banner of environmental protection. In other words, under manifestly false pretenses. Well, how big is this campaign? The numbers vary, but the trend is unmistakable. Police recorded hundreds of incidents in the spring and summer of 2023, more than 380 between April and mid-August alone, ranging from tampering to full removal of equipment. Local tallies and eyewitness accounts suggest the total count of destroyed cameras is well into the many thousands, with activists claiming that in some areas the vast majority of units have been extinguished. Exact figures are contested, as they change as fast as the crews attempt to repair or replace infrastructure. But the logistical strain is real. Every damaged camera is a gap in the money gouging effort and another expense. Ask Blade Runner activists why they do it, and you'll hear the language of liberty. Surveillance creep, loss of autonomy. that tyrannical rules are imposed by unelected UN bureaucrats. ULEZ has become a deeply hated symbol of globalist overreach, most especially since the ludicrous nonsense of global boiling is exposed as yet another money-grubbing scam. Others point to household budgets stretched to breaking point and question the fairness of punishing those who simply can't afford a newer car. Globalists, city officials, and gutless New World Order trolls propagandise about fewer toxic particulates, better respiratory outcomes, and the ridiculous notion of decarbonising transport. They stupidly argue policies like ULEZ are imperfect but necessary, and that undermining enforcement ultimately harms the most vulnerable, who, they say, suffer from dirty air. This rampant plunder isn't a policy dispute, it's a head-on collision of narratives about freedom, responsibility, and who bears the cost of unsolicited and unwanted change. This burgeoning resistance doesn't end at the roadside. According to various reports, tens of thousands of motorists have refused to pay camera-issued fines, figures often cited at 50,000 plus. It's a mass act of civil disobedience that tests the limit of grasping systems. Can every case be pursued? Well, very probably not, but we must ask, should they even be considered? Inside the sullied chambers of government and agencies, these questions are more than theoretical. They're practical, expensive, and politically charged. Exponentially mounting refusals combined with camera outages have sparked internal debates about the viability of enforcement as designed. Officials, for their part, deceitfully stress growing compliance rates over time and argue that policies like ULEZ bend behaviour most effectively when they're consistent and predictable. Transport for London and the Metropolitan Police have condemned the actions and launched dedicated investigations. We should note that police have no problem tackling this issue while ferociously protecting known paedophile offenders. Arrests have been made, needless to say, not of paedophiles, which begs the question, which is the more serious issue? In response, some cameras have been upgraded, relocated or shielded with added protective measures. But scale is the enemy here. Each night's damage wipes out days of work. Each replacement is a cost, material, manpower and public trust. For many Londoners, the visuals, freshly installed cameras one day, mangled housing and splintered cameras the next, have become a barometer of a city in a life and death struggle against Agenda 2030. Zoom out and the story broadens to reveal yet another disingenuous furphy about fake climate catastrophism and public health. Moreover, it's about democratic legitimacy and how consent is manufactured or lost. When blatantly fake environmental goals collide with pocketbook realities, enforcement stands or falls on public buy-in. There's a deeper technological question too. As cities lean on automated systems, cameras, algorithms, databases, what happens when a critical mass of people refuses the premise? Does the system adapt? Do the rules change? Or does the state double down? History tells us that policy endurance requires more than good intentions. It needs perceived fairness, credible enforcement, and a path that ordinary people can walk without falling behind. Where does this go next? Well, expect more tug of war, more investigations and arrests, more reinforced hardware, perhaps even fresh legal challenges that test the edges of surveillance and privacy in public spaces. The Blade Runners say they won't stop until every camera is gone. Authorities insist the policy is here to stay. Between those absolutes lies a city negotiating what it's willing to tolerate for civil liberties and for the social contract that binds millions of strangers into a commons. One last point is that the issue is one of defending against societal sabotage. The crime gang masquerading as government are relentlessly sabotaging society, while the Blade Runners are fighting back. This independent overview provides understanding of the forces behind it. Because whether you cheer the cameras or utterly loathe them, the outcome here, how London resolves this standoff, will echo far beyond the M25 into any city that tries to bully its way to a so-called greener future while aggressively implementing 15-minute cities against community objections. Remember, this escalating tyranny is designed to provoke erstwhile law-abiding communities into open conflict. For the moment, soulless mercenary thugs masquerading as police are stymied by Blade Runner guerrilla tactics, but they forever seek excuses to trigger direct confrontation. My last UK visit confirmed the advanced assault on the population with the appalling condition of the roads, a clear example of establishment contempt for the public. They eagerly dispense an endless stream of public funds from England to Ukraine to sustain an illegal war, yet they can't summon the effort to repair the nation's atrociously potholed roads. This is merely one illustration of the blatant treason perpetuated by this globalist shill kakistocracy on a daily basis. It's utterly insufferable and ultimately intolerable. Thank you for watching.